Okay, folks, welcome to the Otherppl Show. I am Brad Listi, and I'm in Los Angeles. Happy Sunday. Great to be with you. Hope everything's okay out there, wherever you happen to be. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you listen, and you can follow me on Instagram and Bluesky. So it's Sunday, and I do wildcard episodes on Sunday. There's like a little something different every Sunday. That's kind of the trend that I'm following currently. And today I'm going to be doing a character studies episode. I haven't done one in a bit, but this marks the return of character studies. It's a series that I launched on this podcast earlier this year. And character studies episodes feature me in conversation with a civilian. So it kind of could be anybody from any walk of life. And we just have a conversation. And the entire premise of this series, the continuation, I should say, of this series is predicated on my ability to find willing conversants, people who are willing to guest on the show and talk with me about their lives candidly and anonymously. It's important to point that out. Character studies guests appear on this show by first name only, so it's not about self-promotion. It's about conversation and hopefully connection. So if you're out there and you know somebody who would be a great character studies guest, please reach out to me. The email address is letters@otherppl.com. The one rule of thumb for character studies episodes is that if at all possible, I would like to talk to non-writers. So it can't be, ideally, I say that, and today's character studies guest has published some books, but in general, I want to talk to people who fall outside of the writing realm, just to sort of mix things up. It seems like the logical approach. So that's really it in terms of rules. Otherwise, I'm wide open. I'll talk to anybody, anywhere, as long as they can hold a conversation in English and they're willing to be candid about who they are and they're willing to appear anonymously. So again, if you or anyone you know is game to be a character studies guest, you can email me. The address is letters@otherppl.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Penguin Press, publisher of Where Are You Really From?, the new story collection by Elaine Shea Chow. This is a multi-genre collection that explores the limits and the possibilities of storytelling. It features 6 singular stories and a novella. Where Are You Really From is the official September pick of the Otherppl Book Club. That is my book club. To join my book club, just go to the show's official website, otherppl.com. You could sign up there, get a new book delivered to your door every 30 days. I interview book club authors on this program, so it makes for an enriching and holistic literary experience. Once again, the book is called Where Are You Really From?, the story collection by Elaine Shea Chow. It shows us humanity in all of its messy complexity. It's about the stories that we tell ourselves, our treacherous desires, and our self-deceptions, and our capacity for cruelty, both to ourselves and to others. One more time, it's called Where Are You Really From?, the story collection by Elaine Shea Chow, available now from Penguin Press. So a quick plug before we get going for my email newsletter. You can subscribe over at bradlisti.substack.com. You will hear from me weekly. I will let you know about the latest episodes of this program. I also share a list of links to things that I've been reading and finding interesting. So if that sounds good, sign up for my newsletter over at bradlisti.substack.com. Also want to give a quick plug to my new company, Deep Dive, which specializes in the creation of educational audio courses. The debut course from Deep Dive is called How to Write a Novel. It's available now, and it features more than 50 hours of never-before-heard insight, inspiration, and instruction from nearly 4 dozen of today's most celebrated contemporary authors, including Emily St. John Mandel, Stephen Graham Jones, Melissa Broder, Steve Almond, Vivi Ganeshananthan, Purachista Hakpur, Juliet Escoria, Elle Nash, Hannah Pittard, Kimberly King Parsons, Lynn Steger-Strong, Lydia Kiesling, Alexandra Tanner, Jonathan Evison, Antoine Wilson, Matt Bell, Matthew Salas, Tiffany Clark Harrison. The list goes on. It's an all-star lineup. There has never been a writing course quite like this one, and you can get it right now at www.deepdive.audio. Stream the course online, or better yet, via the Deep Dive app, available for Android and iPhone. So check it out. Again, the website is www.deepdive.audio. So today on the program, I'm going to be featuring a character studies conversation. My guest is a woman named Rachel. She is 32 years old. She is a self-described internet person who works as a director of content and engagement. She lives in Queens in New York City. And this is a bit of a curveball when it comes to character studies episodes because I follow Rachel on Instagram. And for whatever set of reasons, I mean, I think one of them, or maybe the primary reason, is that she's really good at the internet. So the algorithm presents her content in my feed, and it's usually interesting or funny or both. And so I feel like I've built this narrative around who she is. And I should mention too that she comes from Indiana, which is another point of interest for me because I too come from Indiana. We're both Indiana Pacers fans, and she seems to have like some sort of farm in her life. She goes home to visit her mom, and she's on some kind of farm, and that content is interesting. And then I saw that she recently adopted a dog, and I was like, okay, I love dogs, and so I reached out to her and I said, would you be willing to guest on my program for this character study series that I do? Because I have this idea of who you are, but the truth is that I have no idea who you really are. And she very kindly agreed to speak with me. And we had a really interesting conversation. I learned a lot about Rachel and where she's from and what she's been through and what she has overcome and what she has managed to achieve. And also, maybe I learned a little bit about how the internet works, how viral content works. She's a person who specializes in that, which I find fascinating. She seems to have a knack for it. There's an artistry to it and a kind of intuition. I don't know what it is. It's such a mystery to me, but she helped me to understand a little bit better, to illuminate the mystery of the internet a little bit. And I loved actually meeting Rachel and talking with her about her life and her dog and her family and her childhood in Indiana and her handsome Italian boyfriend, all of it. It's all coming up right now in this, the 17th character study in the history of this program.
I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm the only person in my family who was not born in the South. My parents moved to Indiana from North Carolina 9 months before I was born. So I've been, unfortunately, shafted. And I was born in one of the only states without an identity.
That's where I went to junior high and high school.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
And yet you're not a Pacers fan.
I am a Pacers fan. I'm I'm dyed in the wool. I was losing
I thought you were just, I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but I thought you were just bandwagoning during the finals. I really thought you were a fair weather fan.
I lived in Indiana for 8 years and my formative years, growing up, and was a huge, that was the Reggie Miller era for the Pacers. And so that was, you got a Reggie Miller tattoo.
Of course I have a Reggie Miller tattoo.
Where in Indiana are you from?
Insandianapolis. So
like in the city proper?
Slightly north of Indianapolis, Castleton. It's a suburb.
Yeah, I went to Carmel High School.
What the?
Yeah.
I went to Cathedral High School, the private Catholic school.
That's where my nieces, it's where my nieces all go. They two of them have graduated.
It's a good school. I got expelled, and then I finished my final 2 years of high school at Lawrence North.
Lawrence North with Greg Oden.
Greg Oden and Mike Conley Jr., yes.
Yeah. See? So we grew up in like really not that far. I used to go to Castleton Mall, like Lazarus. I don't know if Lazarus was there when you were.
Lazarus was there, and also my first or second job was at the Chick-fil-A in the Castleton Square Mall food court.
Okay. So
this is crazy. I can't believe I never knew this about you.
Well, that's part of the reason why I think do you know Joey Grantham? Do you know him, or did he? Okay, so Joey, I think, to trace like why I started following you, I think he was like, she's really funny. Oh. And I just randomly hit follow. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then I start seeing you on Instagram and you become a sort of fixture in my feed. And then I noticed that you're like posting photos from Indianapolis and that you're, a Pacers fan. You're kind of like wearing Pacers gear. I think maybe I knew that you had a Reggie Miller tattoo. And I was like, oh my God, this girl's from Indiana and she likes the Pacers. And so I think I might have messaged you and been like, go Pacers.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I'm so sorry. I don't recall that. But honestly, I'm not used to taking people seriously when they say go Pacers.
I thought we had this bond. I was like, she knows.
I think I'm being made fun of.
Yeah. You like don't even believe that anybody could possibly. But
exactly.
I genuinely am like an author. I mean, Rick Smits. I know the whole team. Dale Davis. I know all those guys. I mean, I don't know them personally, but
I'm collecting social media engagement from former Pacers. So I know for a fact that Reggie Miller has seen a photo of my Reggie Miller tattoo. He's reposted like 3 of my stories, liked 2 of my posts, but my rarest one is the artist formerly known as Ron Artest liked one of my Instagram posts one time. So that was a big day for me.
Yeah. I think I'm still traumatized from the finals.
Yeah.
Like the emotional roller coaster of that and that awful collapse in Game 7 when Tyrese hurt himself.
Yeah.
I think I've been shut down since then. And I don't think I'm going to be able to watch basketball this season.
I think 2 things happened to me this year that like changed me fundamentally. One was the best vacation of my life that made me, my relationship to work has been ruined ever since. And then the other was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I'm a different person than I was before either of those things.
Okay. So you grew up in Indiana, not too far from where I grew up in Indiana.
Yes.
You're significantly younger than I am. You were born the year that I graduated high school.
Yeah, you could have babysat me.
I left Indiana the year you were born.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and went off to college. And so we are both Pacers fans. I follow you on Instagram. And then I know, like, you talk about this vacation because you're in my feed all the time. I know which teams you cheer for. I know you had a lovely time in Italy, right?
I did, and I haven't even finished posting all the pictures. Actually, we did Italy, Sicily, and Greece. Yeah, I don't know why I have to have a job after that experience. Honestly, it was incredible, and I've always wanted to go to the Greek island Hydra because Leonard Cohen lived there, and we went, and so I have like 8 million pictures of me outside Leonard Cohen's house.
Is it marked somehow?
Yeah. His son still owns it, and there's a street named after him, and there's like a bench with his name on it. It's Leonard Cohen theme park.
The last house that Leonard Cohen lived in, he was living there when he died in Los Angeles, is not too far from where I live. And I got curious, like I was reading about him online or something, and I was like, oh my God, he lived in this neighborhood? Like I had no idea. And I was walking my dog and I walked all the way down there and walked. It's the most nondescript house you could imagine. It's nothing fancy.
I'm a diehard Pacers fan and a diehard Leonard Cohen fan. I've loved him like my whole life. So it was a very magical place for me to be.
How did you get into Leonard Cohen?
The origin story is actually so embarrassing and like the most middle school thing you can think of. But Starbucks used to sell compilation CDs that were like based on vibes, similar to like Spotify playlists now. And they had one that was like Coffee Shop Jams or something stupid like that. And it had Suzanne by Leonard Cohen on it. And I was depressed because I was a teenager. And I was like, what is this? Who is this guy? And I went to the library and on Hague Road, 96 in Hague, and checked out another one of his CDs. And I just like got really into him.
Wow. And you spent your whole childhood in Indianapolis?
Yes. And as soon as it was like time to apply to colleges, I only applied to colleges in like cities and ended up going to Chicago.
Okay. You wanted out.
Yes.
Were you unhappy there?
I think I would say like 80% of the graduating class of my high school that went to college went to Indiana University. And I was just really interested in like having a different experience with different people, somewhere with like a music scene. I thought I was too cool for Indiana.
And you wanted out. I was kind of like, I was almost going to go to Indiana University. And then at the last minute, I bailed and went to Colorado. And I'm glad I did.
I also didn't like drinking. So I wasn't sure IU was the place for me.
Listen, I went to Boulder for college, which like kind of like notorious party school or whatever, at least pot school.
Yeah.
And like psychedelics, like that kind of scene.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of friends who went to IU, and I would go back to visit. And whenever I was at Indiana University, I was like, this is like an order of magnitude more intense than Colorado.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
people get fucked up at Indiana University, at least they used to.
Yeah. And like I would go back to Indianapolis and visit, and friends and I would like go to B-Town, Bloomington, for like the weekend. And I would always kind of like lock in to the binge drinking for like a night. And I was like, I don't know how you guys are going to school. I'm waking up with strange bruises. Like this is not sustainable for me.
So you went to Chicago.
Yeah. I went to DePaul University for one trimester, and then I dropped out of that. And then I just really wanted to stay in Chicago. So I figured out how to make that happen. And I lived in Chicago for like 5 or 6 years after that. The year that the word polar vortex like entered popular vernacular was a winter that I was in Chicago. I've never lived anywhere colder than that. And I don't think that I will again.
Where in Chicago did you live?
I lived for the first 3 years in Pilsen, and then a little bit further west, but still south in Little Village. And then my last year I lived in Humboldt Park. Okay.
And like, just to go back a little bit to Indiana, it was kind of a place that you outgrew, but like, did you have like a happy, like adolescence? I feel like there's always some degree of discontent.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had a happy childhood there? Like, did you have a good family life?
I was plagued by mental illness as an adolescent, I would say, is probably like the right phrasing for it. And I'm like, I don't want to say like I'm proud of it, but I feel freakishly well adjusted now. So I guess I'm proud of the arc post that. But yeah, I had a difficult adolescence for sure. Like I'm still apologizing to my mom, So I went to, when I was 16, sophomore or junior year of high school, I went to a residential mental health treatment place in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And I lived there for like 3 months, and I did super intensive cognitive behavioral therapy. And it like completely reoriented me in a good way. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I still kind of use some of those skills that I learned there now to like navigate hard stuff.
Okay. So a couple of questions that arise, or like, do you have any sense of like what caused this was it just like the like neurochemistry of adolescence, or was there something else?
Yeah. I mean, I think that my parents got divorced when I was 4, and they were not a good match. My mom and I are really, really close. I talk to her like sometimes 3 times a day. So I'm trying to be unbiased in my assessment. I don't, but that I think people are always like, it must be so hard that your parents were divorced. And I'm like, no, it's the best possible thing that they didn't live in the same house anymore. Like they could not get it together. But yeah, I think my mom's adopted, so I don't know all of my medical history, but there's a little bit of a mental health background, family background. And I also think that, I don't know, like adolescence, puberty was really very hard for me. And I mean, I was like running away, like self-harming, like acting out sexually, just like to get a like affirmation. Like it was just, in retrospect, so obviously flawed, but I thought that I was like acting from a place of agency. You know, I was like, I'm actually being a grown-up, instead of believing that I was being ruled by like hormones and fucked up brain chemicals.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that uncommon. And I'm going through that. I mean, my daughter is 15. She's, I mean, not dealing with anything like that yet, knock on wood. But I see some friends and you hear stories and you're just like, okay, it's got to hang on.
I experienced abuse at a young age. And I think that was like a thing that I thought that because I started therapy when I was 6 years old. My mom is a mental health professional, so she was like, God bless her, thank God. She was very gung-ho about me having access to that. So when I was 6, I started seeing a therapist, and his name was Bill Cook. He's probably dead now. That just occurred to me the other day. But he was just like an old man who wore sweaters, and I didn't know that he was my therapist. And then, I pretty much stayed in therapy for like the majority of my life. And I thought that I was like so smart and doing the work, and like, I'm not doing any of these things because I've been a victim of anything bad. I'm doing it because I'm developed and autonomous. But it was very obviously, in retrospect, like reactionary to that.
Okay. So abuse at like an early age, like you were 6, you said?
Yeah. I mean, consistently, like some of my earliest memories are like aggression in the home. And then I was also sexually abused in my early teens. So it was pretty, oh God, so bleak to say, but like pretty consistent throughout my childhood that was going on. And then on top of that, my dad was in a career. My dad's a pastor, and he was in this career where he was very like, I was representative of him, and like it was important that I showed up well. You know, appearances mattered. And also, not only did appearance matter, like it's not like he was the governor, he was a pastor. So appearance mattered. And there was this like moral authority attached to his job that like added an extra level of, my home environment was like inscrutable, basically, because he's a pastor. Everything must be fine. So it was like, it kind of just added an extra icky element to it.
What denomination? Like, what was he, a Christian or like a
Presbyterian? Which honestly, shout out, very chill. Like, women can be pastors. They're down to marry gay people. It's all very mellow.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't, because some of these like Southern Baptist or whatever.
Yeah, I always, anytime I say that my dad's a pastor, people are like, "Oh my God, what was that like?" Because he is from the South. But it's like it's like the family business. Like every man in my family, like every generation, it's like my dad, my uncle, my granddad, my great uncle. It's on my 12th birthday, I went to Red Lobster with my dad, and I blew out the candle on my cake. And he said, "So are you going to marry a pastor or be one?"
And?
Well, I mean, you know, social media marketing is a form of, it's prophetic.
That's right.
I'm spreading the good news.
Yes, you are. Now, but you said that there was aggression in your home. Your dad's a pastor. I guess that doesn't preclude him from being aggressive. What did he? So he could lose his temper.
Yeah. Yes. Which is why my parents weren't together, and why my bond with my mom is very strong. Not just because she's wonderful, but, you know, shared victimhood, I guess.
So did you live primarily with your mom growing up?
There was a period after they got divorced where she and my brother and I had a restraining order against him, and she had sole custody. But then eventually custody became shared. And so it was pretty much half and half down the middle. But like a lot of those running away instances when I was older were like running from my dad's house to my mom's house. But then my dad would be like, "She's going to get in trouble for kidnapping if you're at her house when it's not her custody day."
That's fun for a kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes it understandable how you would be having like mental health challenges when you're like an adolescent, and why you would be acting out. You went through a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
But your mom got you therapy at a young age, and then it sounds like the therapy that you were doing up until you went to Oconomowoc was kind of just like, I don't know if run of the mill is the way to put it, but it was sort of like it was kind of mild in terms of the seriousness. The Oconomowoc was the intensive.
Yeah, and I mean, I was like trying a lot of different like antidepressant, antipsychotics stuff also. So I had a therapist and a psychiatrist, and my therapist was wonderful, Janice. She like, there were times where I felt like all I needed was like a trusted adult advocate in my relationship with my dad, and she was that. So like, I owe so much to her. I love her. And she had this little chihuahua named Zildjian, like the drums brand. And she would bring him to her sessions. It's like the smartest child therapist move I've ever heard of, because I'd be like talking about some horrible shit that happened to me, and I don't want to look at her, you know, but there's this little fuck ass chihuahua running around, you know, I can like give him my eye contact instead. So she was great. But honestly, like I was taking behavioral medications before my brain was developed. Like, I don't think most of those were good for me. And then, yeah, the residential mental health was like, you know, it's like, it was like being on a writing retreat for my brain. Like there was nothing else that I had to do at that time, but work on myself. So
what precipitated going to Oconomowoc again? Just like a big episode?
That's such a good question. I was 16 and I met a 23-year-old Croatian man on the internet, and I thought that we were in love. And I started sending him naked pictures of myself, and we would talk on the phone every day for hours because we were in love. And then I stopped hearing from him, and like a week later the police came to my house and they said that Interpol had contacted them and they'd found pictures of underage me on this guy's computer. And they sat there and they like recorded my testimony in my mom's living room, and one of the cops said something really scary about how like I could be a sex offender for life because technically I had been trafficking child pornography, even though it was me and I was a victim of abuse who had been groomed by an adult. So yeah, that was like, okay, whatever we're doing right now isn't really working.
Right? That's right. And your poor mom must have been just like, ugh.
They rang. I stayed home sick from school the day that the cops came because I was sad because my internet boyfriend wasn't talking to me all of a sudden because he was in jail, apparently. But I was like, I'm sick. And I remembered that they knocked on the door and they told her what was about to happen. And then they like gave her 30 minutes. So they came and told her, and then they came back for me, my poor mother.
Is that what you're still apologizing for? Or like one of the things to this day?
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Also, that hospital was expensive. So shout out.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that's a drastic measure, but it's also maybe like a commensurate measure, and one that probably saved you in many ways, it sounds like.
Yes. I also remember that at that time I had a really wonderful English teacher. I had the same English teacher for junior and senior year, and she kind of knew what was going on. And so the whole time that I was in the hospital, she didn't send me any real homework. She like, you could get homework sent from school. And my other teachers were like actually trying to get me to do worksheets, but she was just like, hey, everybody in class like wrote you a note and we put it in the mail for you and you don't have any assignments.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to know, I mean, if you can recall like this experience in Oconomowoc, you said it kind of reordered you, and there's things that you carry with you to this day. Like, can you just talk a little bit more about how that experience like fundamentally changed you?
Yeah, I think maybe this sounds kind of assholey, but like I was in close proximity with people who had my age, my peers, who had such debilitating mental health conditions that were like making it impossible for them to live a normal life. And I didn't see myself that way because to an extent I wasn't. Like there was a really big group of people with serious OCD. My roommate was this girl who had something called conversion disorder, which was like her anxiety physically manifested itself. She had a feeding tube. There had been times where she had been like restrained to a a wheelchair. And so part of it was perspective. I was like, oh, like what I'm dealing with is surmountable. And also just only being asked to work on that every day when it felt like my life had been like so full of obligations. And prior to that, it was just, it was like a retreat. Like really, it gave me the space to learn about setting boundaries, learn about myself. Yeah. And just grow a lot. Obviously I didn't come out perfect. Like it took me a long time to become the perfect that I am now, but I came out changed for sure.
It honestly sounds like something everyone should do. Like everyone should have like a 3-month retreat where they just get to go do therapy as a teenager.
It's interesting too, because it was the first time I heard the word trigger, and those like later became such a common word like in the world. And I understood it in the context of I'm in a mental hospital where we're all really fucked up. So of course we're going to respect each other's triggers. And then I went into the outside world and people were like, that's my trigger. And I was like, well, we're at work. Like we're not, I'm not on the unit with you. So I'm not sure what you want me to do.
But like, did you have like mental health conditions that were exacerbated by certain triggers that you learned to identify when you were in therapy? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, were you?
Yeah, I think it was for me, that was helpful. But I think for me, it was more about like identifying coping skills and harmful habits. It was less about like what was triggering me and more about what am I doing that is detrimental to me and what can I do to get out of those spaces and kind of like achieve homeostasis in those moments.
So when like the shit hits the fan or you're like emotionally stressed in some way, it taught you better ways to cope.
Yeah. And even to this day, like one of the ones, most of them were like a little more significant than this, but for some reason, like feeling enveloped really helps me feel like kind of calm and able to regain control. And so like, even to this day, if I get really upset or overwhelmed about something, putting on a hoodie and just like putting the hood up and like pulling the strings a little bit, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
It's like a thunder shirt.
Yeah, it's like a thunder shirt.
Which you might have to get for your new dog someday.
Oh my gosh, I meant to say when we were talking about Leonard Cohen that he was born like 3 days after Leonard Cohen died. So he's probably Leonard Cohen reincarnated.
Oh, can we talk a little bit briefly since we brought him up about Ernie?
I would love nothing more.
Okay.
Do you want to see him?
Yeah, I do.
He's sleeping, but I will wake the boy. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's the only sound he ever makes when I move him when he's sleeping. Come here. The people want to see you. You smell like Fritos.
Yeah. So does my dog. Hi, Ernie.
Hi, Ernie.
Ernie is a whippet?
He's an Italian greyhound.
Oh,
I don't know. Okay,
yeah.
You want to go back to sleep?
Italian, yeah. I've got a Tijuana street. No, she's not back there. You can see her bed. She's actually inside.
Like, that's a curtain.
I forgot. My son took her inside. But anyway, you just got Ernie, right?
Yes, I have wanted a dog my entire adult life. And I've always been like, no, I'm not responsible enough. Nope, I'm too busy. Nope, I don't know. Seems scary and hard. And then my brother had a human child. And I love my brother, but like he's been a little bit of an idiot for like different eras of his life. And I went to visit him and he's doing such a good job at raising a fucking human being. I was like, okay, if my brother can raise a human, I can have a half-blind, 4-toothed rescue dog.
Yeah, because like Ernie's not a spring chicken. He's like an older dog.
No, he's an old man. And I'll see people out in the world and they'll be like, oh my God, like, thank you for rescuing a senior dog. And I'm like, do not give me any, like, don't think I'm a good person. I just think it's cute that he's fucked up. Like, I like that he's weird. I'm doing it out of self-interest, not because I want to give him like I do want to give him a good end of his life, but that's not why I did it.
You just like, but I feel like, people are drawn to the dog that they're drawn to. And like, how did you meet him? How did you even find him to rescue?
In the early 2010s, there was a YouTuber named Jenna Marbles.
Oh yeah. And that rings a bell.
Yes. It was the first time I ever saw a Italian greyhound. She had one named Kermit. And I was like, that thing's ugly and cute, and it's doing something to me, like it's activating my like need to protect it. Like, I don't know, their eyes look like boba. There's just something about them that I really like. I think it's the eye to head ratio. But ever since then, I've thought they were so cute. And obviously I live in New York City, so I don't want a big dog. And I would just, you know, be bullshitting on the couch with my boyfriend, and I'd open up Pet Finder like it was Tinder, and I'd type in Italian Greyhound, and it would be like a 18-year-old Italian Greyhound Chihuahua pit bull mix. And I'd be like, no, thank you.
It's always like the pit bull mix, I feel like. No matter what.
I don't even know how a pit bull and an Italian Greyhound could actually copulate, but that's whatever. And then, yeah, my boyfriend and I had talked about fostering. I had the go ahead to foster because we live together, so he unfortunately has to agree. And then I looked up Italian Greyhound and I saw Ernie, and I was like, oh my God, he's blind in one eye. He's got weird tusks instead of teeth. And my boyfriend was multitasking, and I showed him Ernie, and I had like tears in my eyes. I was like, I love him. And he was like, you should apply to adopt him. And I was like, I was like, we had only said foster, but I'm not going to correct. I mean, it sounds like he's moved by how much I love Ernie, and he's relaxing now we're allowed to adopt instead of foster. And so I'm like, la, la, la. And I fill out the adoption application. And then like a couple nights later, I was like, I've made it to the next step of like interviews to adopt Ernie. And he was like, foster, right? And I was like, no, that's not an option for Ernie. And he was like, oh. So he kind of had to adjust his expectations.
You're like, he's coming home to live with us.
It had gone too far at that point.
There's no turning back.
No.
And there could not have been a long line of people wanting to adopt. Like, how old is he? Like 7 or 8 or?
He's 8, yeah.
Yeah. Lining up to adopt a blind 8-year-old Italian Greyhound.
And his adoption fee was pretty freaking expensive because he's from Korea and they flew him here.
Oh my God. You know, I have a friend who adopted a dog from Korea. And
okay, let me say something. I thought that people eating dogs was something that racist people said. I didn't think that was real. Apparently, there is still a small segment of the population in Korea that believes dog meat has health benefits. I'm not really casting aspersions on that. Just, I didn't know, and Ernie was going to be bulgogi.
Yeah, that's the same thing. There's a rescue organization that saves dogs from becoming food and rehomes them in the States. And like, this is what I always say. I'm a vegan. I haven't eaten meat since I was an adult.
That's sick.
Like in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah, in a good way.
Oh, I'm just like,
I love restraint.
Yeah. Well, I might like, but the logical part of my brain is just like, okay, we would never eat a dog, but we'll eat a pig, and a pig is smarter than a dog. Like, I don't get that. Like, how can you delineate between?
I mean, just from a practicality standpoint, an Italian Greyhound is not the dog I would choose to raise for meat if I was going to, because he has no meat on his bone. Like,
yeah, nothing
at all. Like, literally, you have to dress them up in the winter because they have no fat on their bodies. Oh no, I have to dress them up.
I was going to say, you must be looking forward to sweater shopping for Ernie.
My mom has already bought him outfits.
But those Greyhounds, like, they look good in a turtleneck. I don't know if you've ever seen the photos online.
Yeah, my mom got him a little outfit that's like black and white stripes with like a red rings around the ends. He looks like the Hamburglar.
Oh my God. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. It's really, really, I'm loving it so much.
And the thing is, once you make the leap, and like you say, how long ago did you adopt Ernie?
Almost 3 weeks.
And how long does it feel like you've had Ernie?
I don't know. Cause like, sometimes I'm like, I have known you since the universe began. But then sometimes I'm like, are you really going to live here forever? Like, not in a bad way. Like, I feel like I'm taking him for granted. Like, I look at him and I'm like, this isn't real. You're not my dog. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, you make the leap and all of a sudden your life changes and you got to take care of this animal. But what because I got my first dog when I was 20.
Wow. That's brave. I would have been a bad dog parent at 20.
I did okay. It was a border collie too, which are like really high maintenance dogs.
Yeah.
But
Smart.
super smart. Yeah. And I loved that dog and we had a good time together. And then once I had one and then he died, I was like, I don't know if I can do that again. But then like a few months go by and then I'm on the internet looking at puppies again.
Oh my God. I look at him and I think he's going to die. I said to we were like watching a movie and I said to my boyfriend, Ernie's going to die.
Yeah. And and you just go, it's hard. And then like, I think though, if you like dogs and you get a dog and you have a good experience with the dog, you're very likely to just keep getting dogs. Like it's like, I don't know how to be a human being without a dog.
Yeah. I think this is going to be true for the rest of my life. I have always been that way where I'm like confronting his mortality as I've just met him. Like, I went to the Indiana State Fair when I was maybe like 15 or something, and I won 2 goldfish. And I took him home and I put him in like a tank, and the tank was on my bedside table. And the thing that everybody says about the goldfish from the State Fair is they die the night you get them. Like it's like a joke. And I just remember like the first night I had them, I laid in bed pretty much the entire night without sleeping in the dark with my eyes open, listening, because they would occasionally like go to the top of the water and make like little like sounds. And I was like, they're going to die. They're going to die in the night. But if I lay here with my eyes open, I can hear that they're still alive. And they lived for like 5 years.
Oh, they did. Okay. I was going to say, I was ready for you to tell me that you still have them.
No, I wish. My mom mailed me photos of them while I was in the mental hospital.
What were their names?
She was like, they're doing great. Peach and Nibbles, I think.
Okay.
Don't know why.
5 years is a good run for a goldfish.
Yeah, I'll say.
And now you have Ernie.
Now I have Ernie.
And you live in New York?
Yes, I live in Queens. You
live in Queens. And, just to kind of circle back, you went through all of these harrowing times as an adolescent in Indiana. Is there anything else that we're missing from Indiana? Like kind of like bouncing around from school to school. You got expelled from Cathedral? Or
yes.
For what?
I think you'll find this interesting. Facebook used to have a thing, they would test different features and stuff to see what stuck. Facebook had a feature where you could make a quiz, kind of like early BuzzFeed days. And over the summer between sophomore and junior year, I made a quiz called What Cathedral High School Teacher Are You? And you would answer questions and then you got a result of a teacher. And I like pulled their staff photos off of the school website. And not all of the descriptions were bad. One of them was like, you're the prettiest teacher. Everyone loves you. But then one of them was like, you're the teacher most likely to call a student a faggot. So it ran the gamut. But it like went kind of like mini viral in that community. And like some teachers, some parents saw it. And I got called in for a disciplinary board hearing over the summer. And I got expelled.
Jeez.
But when you consider my career path now, it makes sense that is what I got expelled from high school for.
It does make sense. I mean, now you work as a director of content?
Yes, virality is my trade. In fact, Ernie is doing numbers right now. He doesn't even know.
I was going to say, he's like he's kind of a star in my world. Like I noticed him. The video you made at Central Park the other day was really good.
It's got like 75,000 views right now. It's crazy. I'm like, no one's going to like it when I appear again without him. Like, they like me for Ernie now.
Yeah, you're kind of like his agent. That's all. That's it.
I thought about making him a page, and I'm like, I'm not that person.
Yet.
Well, I missed the boat if I didn't do it already.
Yeah. So we'll get to director of content, but I think we should kind of keep tracing things chronologically. You have this like episode in high school where you kind of check out and go to Economowalk and get intensive mental health care, and it really helps you. And then you go to DePaul for college. You flee Indiana. You want to go to a big city, and yet you didn't stay in school. You kind of you pieced out. What happened at DePaul? Were you just drinking and fucking around, or?
I was taking Zoloft, which was one of the only like SSRIs that really worked for me, and then like all of a sudden I'm living by myself which it just makes no sense that we're like, hey, 18-year-old, go Like, I just don't think that that is the time of your life that you should be whatever. But I just quit taking my antidepressants like cold turkey, and I never went to chem lab. And I was just like, you know, my scholarship was performance dependent, and that ended very quickly.
Yikes. Okay. But were you bummed about it, or were you just like, whatever at that age?
Yes, I was bummed about it. I think more like, not like, damn, I flunked out of college, but more like, why couldn't I do this? Like, I wanted to be able to live independently and have my obligations and like stick with them, but just couldn't do that. Yeah.
At that age. And so
Yeah.
you hung around in Chicago for another 4 or 5 years, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what were you doing?
Selling drugs. Selling drugs and writing poems and hanging out.
What kind of drugs? Can I ask?
Yeah, you can ask. I sold weed, decent amount of weed. I sold LSD for a while, which there was like a person in the suburbs of Chicago who I could buy like a sheet from, which is 100. And then I would like go to parties and flip it and make a decent amount, and then also have enough to do for myself. And yeah, then I would like work at a sandwich shop. I would do like freelance transcription for Vice and random freelance articles. I wrote an article for GQ called How to Buy Makeup for Your Girlfriend. You know, stuff like that. Just kind of like subsistence work.
Piecing it together.
Yeah.
And then at some point, like anything else happened during the Chicago years except for just like getting by and being like a person in her 20s?
Dating, you know, just like I published some books, which was cool. And like everyone was like, whoa, you published a book. And I was like, yes. I don't know. It just felt like it had a level of prestige attached to it that it actually wasn't, because I was doing these like tiny little presses. And then my closest, oldest friend, not yet at that point, but to this day, moved to Chicago the same time, like around the same time as me. And we lived in the same city for the first time. And that was really nice. That was like one of my favorite times of my life because of that.
Okay. So a couple things. The books that you published were poetry?
I did poetry and short stories and a novella.
Oh, wow. And what was the press?
Pioneers Press.
So just like a tiny, like micro indie press?
Yeah, it was like former like punks who from like the Bay Area or San Diego or something who lived on a farm in Kansas and published like riot girl, anarchist zines and books.
Okay. And then this friend of yours that had been what, your lifelong best friend, you said?
His name's Austin. We met when I was like 19.
You met your best friend when you were 19. That means you met in Chicago? Or you met when you were in Chicago?
Oh, I must have been 18 because I dropped out of college, lived in Indiana for a brief stint, and then went back to Chicago. And I was living in Indiana. I was like 18 or 19. I had a 27-year-old boyfriend who was a total dirtbag. I was like, he likes for me. And everyone older and smarter than me was like, he likes that you're a teenager. And I was like, no, it's different. But he was a piece of shit. And like, I was doing the alt-lit thing on my computer and like making new friends, and started talking to Austin, and then got in a huge fight with my piece of shit 27-year-old boyfriend, and he like threw my laptop. And I texted Austin and I was like, hey, can I come hang out with you for a while? And he was like, yes. And he lived in the South, and I drove and stayed with him for like 3 months, and we've just been like best friends ever since.
Where in the South?
Texas.
Okay. You know, like it's so interesting. You grew up in Indiana. I grew up in Indiana. Your parents are from the South. My parents are from the South.
Where?
Louisiana.
Oh, nice. I'm not that deep. Carolinas.
Yeah. I'm like not only am my parents from Louisiana, they're from South Louisiana. Like
hell yeah.
Deep, like bayou, you know, country in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. But I never lived there. I just grew up kind of going there for Christmases and stuff. But that's where all my people come from. I'm Cajun French, at least in part, and Sicilian.
Oh, Sicilian?
Yeah.
My boyfriend's Sicilian.
Oh, really? Well, Listi is Sicilian. That's like my dad's
I
side.
guess Listi.
Listi. I think there was a guy that I used to live in his basement. Like
Great sentence.
Yeah, it was a couple. It was a married couple in Colorado, and I rented their basement apartment for a time after I graduated college, just for like a year. And he was Greek. Like parents still lived in Greece. He spoke, like the whole thing. And so I remember one evening there was a knock on my door, and it was like up the steps, like I didn't have a door. I lived in the basement, but it was him.
Yeah.
And I walked up the door, and he had this book open, and he's like, I was looking through this like book of like, ancient languages of the Mediterranean or some such. And he's like, I found your name. And he pointed to it, and Listi meant thief. And I come from peasants, like, I don't come from like the landed gentry, and so I was like, okay, that tracks. I'm sure there's probably somebody in my lineage who.
That is so good. Wow.
Yeah.
I was about to say I always wanted a cool last name, but I can't discuss what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, I think I have a good last name, but I have Brad as my first name. So
I know Brad is a little disparate.
Yeah, it balances out. I don't like, but Brad is problematic. Listi is acceptable.
My boyfriend is Sicilian, and like I'm not going to say what his actual name is, but first, middle, last are like very authentico. Not a Brad vibe to be had. And so it's like he gives like a shortened version of his name when they ask for his name at the restaurant because he can't trust people to like spell it.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it is. It's hot.
I wish I had some hot Italian name.
Do you have like a Italian middle name? No. Like a little like Carlo or something?
David. I had a great uncle named Carlo.
Zio
like all
Carlo.
That, like all the actual Italian names sort of petered out with my dad's generation.
Yeah.
It was his uncles that got the last of like the actual Italian spellings. You know what I'm saying? Like Carlo and Vincenzo and.
Yeah, that's like the vibe of my boyfriend's name. It's like Giuseppino Alessandro.
Yeah, that's good.
I know.
So Austin, your buddy, takes you in the South. You get away from your shitty 27-year-old boyfriend.
Who I hope is having a really bad day.
And Austin is a platonic, just a buddy.
Yeah.
And then you eventually leave Texas, return to Chicago, but then Austin comes to Chicago.
Yeah, so he worked the night shift at a hotel front desk, and there was this guy who would come in a lot who like kind of had like a sort of paternalistic thing for him. Like he traveled for business and would stay at his hotel. And I was like, Austin, you got to move to Chicago. It's so fun here, blah, blah, blah. And the guy, the regular at the hotel, had like a broken down truck in his yard. No, Austin had a broken down truck in his yard. And the guy was like, put all your stuff in it. I'll fix it. I'll drive you to Chicago. And so they took this like weird road trip to Chicago. And I gave Austin the room in the apartment that I had been living in. And I moved to another place down the street. And that's like the only years of my life that we have lived in the same city. And it was so fun.
You guys had a good time.
Yeah.
And you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
It's like that time of life.
You're fucked up, bro.
But I don't know. It goes fast. And I don't think I appreciated that it was going fast and that it wasn't that I was oblivious, but even so, I look back and I'm like, I had no idea that like it was going that fast. And it's just, once it's gone, it's gone.
And I thought everyone was nice to me because I was so interesting, not because I was like 22. I was like, people want to hear what I have to say. And it was like really easy to be skinny because you were on Adderall and had no money.
And just like living hand to mouth.
Yep.
And you were young. I mean, everyone's skinny when they're young,
Yep.
It's just easier. So at some point, what happens in Chicago? Do you move from Chicago to New York?
Yeah. So I was like doing my subsistence farming thing, transcription and drugs and sandwich shop and whatever the hell else. I mean, I guess I was getting like money from my books. I started doing tours. I made a lot of friends who are musicians. And so like my friend Lily and I toured together where she played music and I read poetry, and we like did a bunch of cities. That was really fun. I went and like did a reading at Sarah Lawrence for like, and they paid me like $1,200, which was crazy because I had never had $1,200 before. and that was great. I just like balled out in New York City for a week. You know, I was Spirit Airlines round trip from Chicago to New York was $40. So I just brought a backpack and I like spent basically the entire Sarah Lawrence check in a week in New York. And I had so much fun there. And then I started doing that more. Like I started having friends in New York and I would go visit more often. And I was like, I've been in Chicago for like 5 years. I've done all the readings. I've gone to all the DIY venues. It's impossible for me to like actually achieve anything because I've figured out how to live here like very easily and affordably. If I really wanted to like be somebody, I should move somewhere where it's really expensive to live. And so I'm forced to be on my grind. And yeah, that's what I did. I moved to New York.
Wow. And then what, do you go in Brooklyn first or?
Yeah. And it was so funny. I got a job before I moved as a receptionist at a hair salon, but I lied and I told them I had already moved. And then I found out I had to have my tonsils removed. It was like a whole fucking thing. And so I had to take my first 2 weeks of my new job off to recover from my tonsillectomy. And then
that's a pain in the ass, by the way. I've had my tonsils out. It hurts.
How old were you?
I was like a junior or senior in high school.
Apparently the older you are, the worse it gets because I have a very high pain tolerance. Like I'm a bad bitch, but I was fucked up. And it was like 2 weeks, you cannot do anything. And on the day of 2 weeks and 1 day, I was moving to New York City. I was like, I have a U-Haul box truck. My car is towed to the back of it and I am driving it. So Midwestern. I'm driving it 13 hours from Chicago to New York. And the night before I was supposed to move, my stitches in my throat broke open and blood started pouring out of my mouth and I had to go to the emergency room.
And what do? They restitch it? They
were like, I lived down the street from an emergency room called the Norwegian American Hospital. And I had a glass of a mason jar next to my bed when it happened that I was drinking water out of. And I remember I just like got up, poured it in the sink, and I walked down the street like spitting blood into a mason jar. And they were like, you're going to have to wait.
Jesus.
They didn't do anything for it. I don't even know how they got it to stop because I fainted. So.
You don't like blood?
No, I think I was just losing a lot of blood from my head.
Oh, it was blood loss. It was that much blood?
It was so much you would not believe. And it felt disgusting. It was horrible.
Yeah. But that tonsillectomy is no joke. And so you go to New York, you work in this hair salon.
Yeah.
You start to just like make your way. And did you have like a goal in mind where you're like, I'm going to become X?
So I think part of why me being published on these like little small presses was good was because I was good at the internet and they didn't have marketing budget. And so for me, it was like, you can't pay to market my book and you probably wouldn't know how to do it if you tried, but I'm really good at Instagram, this new thing that's going on called Instagram and Facebook. My Facebook statuses are getting like 600 likes. So it was a good pairing. And I think it like uncovered for me or clarified for me that I had like this skill to do social media marketing. And so I thought, that's what I'll do. Like, I'll just put myself, the social media marketing I've done for my own books on my resume and I will get a job that way.
And that's what happened, more or less.
Yeah, I worked in the salon and I lived with I was 24 and I lived with 3 32-year-old men who were all weird as fuck.
Jesus, that sounds risky.
Yeah, one of them I knew from the writing world and he had been kind of vouched for. So one of them was scary and actively doing intravenous drugs. I found out later. Anyway, 300 pounds. But I lived in this little shit ass apartment. And then while I was working at the salon, I applied for a bunch of social media marketing jobs and I interviewed for 2 at the same time. And I got offered them both on the same day.
On the strength of what? I'm just curious. How did you get the jobs? They just trust
sparkling person. I'm honestly, I know it's weird to say because you're interviewing me right now, but specifically about job interviews, I am such a good interview. if interviewing for jobs could be a full-time job, I would do that job.
Why? What makes you good at it? What do you do when you're like, what makes you a good interview?
I think I'm a good storyteller, and I think I'm good at reading people. I think those skills combined, I know how to make something compelling, and I know how to tell what somebody wants, which makes me sound like I'm a sociopath. But I try to use it for good.
Yeah, because like you have a knack for the internet. Part of that is just generational.
Yeah.
That's just when you came of age. You grew up online, more or less, if you were born in 93.
Yep.
And then the other thing is like you're kind of an expert at virality as much as anybody could be. Like nobody bats 1,000, but like you have a knack for creating content on social media that goes viral.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is. Like what have you learned? Like what do I need to, because I'm the opposite of that. I'm terrible at social media, I feel like.
It's hard. It's not easy. Should I look at the other people Instagram grid right now? Should I do an analysis?
I'll have you consult. Well, you're going to consult. We're going to have to, yeah. But I just want to know, like, what have you learned? Like, and like some of this stuff you just have, like, it's like native to who you are. You just have an intuition for it. But you've done this long enough. I'm sure you probably have like more concretized ideas.
Well, part of how I got these jobs was not only saying like that I had built a brand for myself as an individual, but also like emphasizing in the interview and on my resume that creative writing had a through line to social media marketing, because I really strongly believe that it does. Like, even this was before short form content. This was before video ruled everything. Like, people wanted to be told a story. And I remember my first social media job in New York, I was running a brand account for like an app that made it easy to sublet your apartment. And I created a character for our Instagram page based on my actual landlord named Bruce. Bruce Landlord is what he was called. You can still like search up the hashtag today, but he was just like recurring character featured in our posts. I would make fake text conversations between me and Bruce Landlord that were funny and post them. And so people were like, there was a narrative to the brand Instagram account that people were following along for. And I think like storytelling really is at the core of what people, especially as people read less and less now, what people are looking for when they're scrolling. They want to be like taken on a journey. You have to get their attention in the first half second now, but you've got to tell a story.
Does it have to be video?
I mean, look, there's all these things that are like post on Sunday at 7:06 a.m. and then immediately quit the app. Like, people have all this, like, it's like they're making sacrifices to a god or something, the algorithm. But the video is favored by a lot of these apps and websites for sure. But you don't have to make video to be compelling and get results, I don't think.
All right. Yeah,
you sound discouraged.
I'm just like, I get overwhelmed by it all. I'm like, I don't know how to, like, this is taking a lot of time and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm old. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't like really love it. Like, I think you have to really love
I do
something.
Really love it.
Yeah. You got to love it. And I'm like, there's some part of me that can have fun. Like I'm
100% extroverted. It's like the internet to me was like, oh my God, look at all these people I could know.
Yeah. And I think too, like you have like facility with the technology, like editing video and all that kind of stuff. You just sort of know, but I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a struggle. Maybe I'll have to talk to you offline. You can help me.
I can help you. I mean, you're already making video.
I'm trying.
I mean, it's already like you're a step ahead.
So, okay. So you're doing all this social media stuff. And it seems like you've had success. Like you've been climbing the ladder. Like you've gotten progressively better jobs. Like because you're 32 now, you moved to New York when you were what, 26, 27?
Oh God, 20. It was 8 years ago. I can't do math.
Okay, so 24.
Yeah.
And 8 years in, you feel like you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I bought my apartment.
That's a good spot.
Crazy.
Unprecedented. That's awesome. That's awesome. And what are you doing now? Like, are you still with the same outfit that you started with, or have you jumped around?
No, I was with that like real estate startup for a while. COVID happened. Everyone went out of business. I did a little freelancing. I worked for an app that will sound literally like a nightmare to you called Honk. That it's a messaging app, but you can see what the person you're talking to is typing while they type it. And like Gen Z was obsessed with it. And that was my first time doing TikTok for a brand. And like the first TikTok I posted got 1.5 million views. And by the time I left that job, it was like, I don't know, it was, I think probably 1 billion views on the content that I made on that page. But I got sick. I had this recurring staph infection. I had MRSA that like wouldn't go away. And it just made me so tired all the time that after like a year, my startup boss was thinking about maybe retiring the app. And I was like, I can't do this right now anyway. So we kind of parted ways and I went to 1 million specialists. That's a side route we could go down if you want. But basically now I've been at this job for almost 3 years and I work for a legal woman-owned cannabis dispensary.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a person who reports to me now, and he's like a smart young dude. So it's crazy. I talk to my therapist like once a month about how I've become a normal person.
And you didn't think you ever would?
No, and I feel a little disdain towards myself for being a normie.
But I mean, you gotta get by. You're an adult. It sounds like you're growing up. I think that like, I get it. And I have the same kind of like hangups or like resistance to maybe like integrating myself into the normie world. But on some level, unless you're independently wealthy or you're somebody who is able to like really make a ton of money by being a freak, you know, like some people have that, they're like that needle in the haystack and you're like Ozzy Osbourne, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
But otherwise the rest of us have got to figure out a way. And I feel like too, like you're still being true to yourself. Like you're working for a cannabis dispensary.
Yeah. And I do get to be like creative in my work, which I feel so grateful for. I feel like people think my job is like fucking around. I'm like, it's really hard. I work really hard. So like there were weeks, I mean, this is fashion week. So I'm about to be eating shit for the next like 8 days, going to shows and giving fancy people free weed and capturing content and blah, blah, blah. But it's so fun. Like I really do get to be creative in a way that I enjoy a lot.
Okay. So wait, you're going to go to Fashion Week. You're not even in the fashion business. You're in the weed business.
No.
So you show up with your phone. That's the only, you just use your phone to film.
Yeah. I mean, we have a videographer also. So for like the series that I do that Ernie was in, that's like filmed on an official real camera because it gets posted on YouTube too. But yeah, I mean, like I'm in charge of hiring a photographer or a videographer, and I need to be the one who can recognize which celebrity is who, and we got to get a picture of that. And if they're holding a bag that has the dispensary's logo on it, I'm like the one who has to be, I have to be like, that's a Real Housewife of New York holding our products. Snap, 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 or whatever. And
then you go up to them and chat them up. Like I can see you doing that.
Yeah, actually. Real Housewife of New York. There is one that I met at Fashion Week a few seasons ago. We were at the same fashion show. I got a picture with her. And then later that day, my boss is like a diehard Knicks fan. And the Knicks were playing the Pacers. And my boss was like, you should come to a game. Which I had been waiting for. I was like, please. I was like wearing my jerseys to the office, you know. And so it was my first time ever at New York Fashion Week. I run into this Real Housewife of New York. Later that night, I am at Madison Square Garden. I have floor seats. Okay. Michael Cohen is behind me. I have better seats than Trump's former lawyer.
Wow.
And I saw the same Real Housewife of New York again. So on one day, huge day of my life, I have 2 selfies with the same Real Housewife from 2 different events. And I said to her, I was like, I feel so cool. I have the same plans as you today.
Did you give any weed to Michael Cohen?
No. Oh. I do have a selfie though, where he's in the background.
Yeah, you have to.
And Christopher Moltisanti was there. And I asked my boss before I came, I was like, is it okay if I wear Pacers gear, you know, to your floor seats? Knicks versus Pacers? And he said, yeah. And I did. And then the Pacers won. And I don't think I'm going to get invited back.
What year was this?
2024?
So Tyrese was playing? Tyrese Halliburton was playing then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you become a Pacers fan? Just living in Indiana, breathing it in?
Yeah, there was nothing else to do. Like, my dad went to UNC and my uncle went to Duke, so I was like into college basketball at an early age, and then there's nothing else going on in Indiana but basketball or like racing, the Indy 500, but we weren't those kind of people. I don't know, that just wasn't our thing. So yeah, my older brother would like have me stand outside and like alley-oop, set him up to alley-oop for like hours on end. It was just,
could he
what
dunk?
was going on? No.
Oh, okay.
If we had one of those adjustable hoops.
Yeah.
If you put it all the way down.
Everybody in Indiana has a hoop. I had so many friends who had those. Like the hoops in Indiana are really hardcore. Like they're not like, it's not like you just like tack something to the garage.
Ours would get like an ice patch right underneath the rim in the winter from like people just repeatedly like going to layup, like because there's just nothing else going on. Like you had to go out there and shoot around.
Yeah, I did that. So did we miss anything in your life? I mean, we're not going to get everything, but in terms of the big stuff, is there anything else major that has happened to you in your life that we did not discuss?
I got divorced.
I didn't even know you got married.
There you go. I must not have been strong with the algorithm during that era. Yeah, I was married and divorced. I met this guy because of my Facebook virality. Like when I was like writing little poems and posting them as Facebook statuses, I developed like a fandom, and there was
what were so great about your Facebook statuses? Why did those go viral?
I don't know. I'm just an incredible writer.
No, but like, what would you say? I don't understand.
It was like, I would like write a poem, and rather than like submitting it to a journal or whatever, I would just post it as an Instagram story, or I would be like ridiculous shit that happened to me. Like, it was like the era where you would go on a date and you would like talk about how horrible it was, without naming the person, stuff like that. It was just the wild tales of an early 20s something person who was confusing vulnerability on the internet for like freedom, when actually it was not that.
Do you feel bad that you did that? I mean, do you wish you hadn't done that?
No, I don't regret it at all. I don't think I ever said anything that like I don't stand by, but I quickly realized that it was like nice to have things that were just for me.
Yeah. You can't be, it's good to be transparent. I like transparency too, but like there does need to be like a private self.
Yeah. Yes. But anyways, this French guy bought my book, and I remember my publisher messaging me and being like, "You just sold a book in Paris." And I was like, "I know who it is, that horny guy." And then I went and did a reading in Paris. There's this English literature org, I don't know if it exists anymore, that would do like English language readings in Paris. And they were like, "Come." And I was like, "I got a credit card? Sure." And I flew to Paris by myself and did a reading, and I met this internet dude, and he could roll a joint really fast, and he was French. So like everything I talked about was like brand new to him, and that was really exciting. I was like, "Oh my God, you don't know what Chex Mix is? You don't know what John Mayer is?" So that made me feel like really novel and interesting. And then we had this kind of like whirlwind romance. We would like travel to see each other, and applied for the fiancé visa. He proposed to me at Versailles. It was like very...
I broke my knee at Versailles. I was on a bike tour with my daughter, and I broke I fell off my bike.
You did a bike tour in France?
Yeah, like at the grounds, the palace grounds. We were riding around because it's so big, and I was using no hands, and I thought like, and I was just like, I don't know, it was flat. It was like not at all technical riding, but the bike was old and the handlebars were loose and they twisted, and I ate shit and broke my kneecap when I was
bet
there.
You got free healthcare.
I didn't. I had to go to the American, like it was
oh no.
Yeah, I had to go to the American hospital in Paris out in Neuilly-sur-Seine because I speak French, but like not like medical French. And I was just like, you know what? I'm in a lot of pain. I can't go sit. And it was COVID. And I was like, I have my daughter, and I was like, I got to get somewhere because we were going to have to sit in the waiting room for like 8 hours. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So,
well, similarly, I got engaged at Versailles.
An what is it? An ill-fated romance.
Yes. Yeah. And he came over on the fiance visa, the one that they have that show about, the 90-day fiance visa. And we got married at the courthouse, and I got a really complicated last name.
How long were you married?
Like 2 years.
Are you a French citizen?
No, I did have a title though.
What does that mean?
I had a title of nobility. You know, like the Duchess of blah, blah, blah.
Was he a fancy guy that you married?
Yeah.
Oh.
By
Jesus.
birth, not by vibe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't present as like a count or
no,
whatever.
He was into like leftover crack and choking victim and stuff. You know, he wasn't like noble in vibe, just blood.
In blood. Fascinating. Okay, so that only lasted 2 years, and then you got out of that. And I'm imagining you're happy that you're out of that.
Yes. It took a long time to change my last name back, which was so annoying because, as you know, my last name is very easy to spell. And I took that for granted for most of my life. Because I suddenly had a very complicated one that started with a lowercase letter and had spaces and hyphens and stuff.
Oh my God.
Horrible.
But now you're back to being you.
Thank God.
And you're dating a Sicilian, and you went to Italy, and you don't want to work again, and you adopted a dog.
Yeah.
It's a happy story. You got Ernie.
It is, you know?
You've got a boyfriend who's been trying to cook dinner for you, and I've been keeping you on this podcast.
I know. He was unloading the dishwasher, though. I'm like, not now.
Well, I'm very happy to meet you and to talk with you. And it's just funny. We grew up. I mean, I guess I was on my way out when you were on your way in.
2 ships passing in a cornfield.
2 ships. You know, Indianapolis, the only major metropolitan area east of the Mississippi River that is not on any kind of major body of water. It's just sitting there in the middle of a field, basically.
I know we're wrapping up, but do you experience, like, when you tell someone that you lived in Indiana, I guess it doesn't come up for you as much because people don't say where you're from and you don't say Indiana, but like anywhere else in the United States, I feel like I could say, and someone would be like, oh yeah, thing. Oh yeah, reference point. Indiana, people just look back at you blankly.
Yeah. I didn't know how, like, sort of out of the way. I mean, there are other places that you could, I think, say where you're from and it would be a similar vibe, but it's like, even if you're from Ohio, it's like, oh yeah, like Cleveland, like something. But yep. I don't think most people even think of Indiana. It's kind of like a backwater type place in people's minds.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and I hear it like in that. That's the there's like something that I noticed when I go back because I still have family there. Is because I split my childhood between Wisconsin and Indiana, and I have very fond memories of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was, I guess it was because I was younger, but there's also like this, you know, it's more Norwegian, Scandinavian, Germanic in Wisconsin and in Indiana.
They have Rhinelander. It's like German as hell up there.
Yeah, I mean, like soccer was like the biggest sport in my community.
All the Lutherans and the Garrison Keelers.
Yeah, all that stuff. And that was my youth, like my early childhood. And then I got to Indiana. And I met a lot of great people there, friends to this day. Like, you know, there's always good and bad in every experience.
Caveat, but still.
But when I go back, there's kind of like an angry edge, like an angry hillbilly edge to some Hoosiers. Like where I go back and I'm like, this person like wants me dead, or just like, there's like a darkness, I guess is the word. There's a darkness.
There is. You know what? And I'm not even mad at that because at least it's giving Indiana some sense of cultural identity, which...
And it has changed. It's changed a ton since I was a kid.
Yeah. Indianapolis is admittedly cooler and senior than it was.
No doubt. And in my neighborhood, when I was growing up, was one of these it was brand new back then. It was like a new neighborhood that just had gone up, and it bordered a pig farm. Like a literal,
it was all freaking cornfield. It was all fields up there.
That's it. And I remember like being like, this is because we moved there when I was in 6th grade, and I remember getting on the bus and like.
And now there's like Clay Terrace Mall and.
Yeah. I don't even know. And there's all those roundabouts.
We're the same person.
I swear, that's why I wanted to talk to you. I knew it. Well, I'm glad we figured it out. We're the same person.
Yep. Twins.
And I suspected it, and now it's been confirmed. And I thank you for taking time out of your busy life during Fashion Week, no less, to talk with me.
Thank you. And I have always wanted to be on your podcast, and I'm not even going to take it personal that you desperately needed a guest, so you asked me.
Okay, there you go. That was my character studies conversation with Rachel, a 32-year-old woman from Queens who is an internet person and a director of content and engagement. My thanks to Rachel for the wonderful dialogue. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Remember, if you or someone you know would make a great character studies guest and they would be willing to appear on this program to speak candidly and anonymously about their existence, please email me. The address is letters@otherppl.com. The continuation of this series is predicated on my ability to book guests. Don't forget to subscribe to this program wherever you listen. Hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Bluesky and Instagram. Sign up for my newsletter at bradlisti.substack.com. And if you love this show, if you listen week after week, episode after episode, if you've been with me for a while, if you get something from this program and you feel like it adds something positive to your life, please support the show at patreon.com/otherpplpod so that I can continue to make these episodes for you. Again, that's patreon.com/otherpplpod. If you want to join my book club or get an Other People t-shirt, you can do all of that at the show's official website, otherppl.com. If you want to get how to write a novel, the debut course from my new company, Deep Dive, please visit www.deepdive.audio. Last but not least, if you have a minute and you want to help me out, please give this show a rating wherever you listen. A good rating, preferably. Maybe write a little review if that's an option. Preferably a positive review. This helps me in the algorithm. It helps the show find new listeners. And I would be very grateful. All right, so coming up on Tuesday, there will be a new episode, a new author interview, classic Other People, traditional Other People. I am not prepared to tell you who the guest will be, but suffice it to say, there should be a guest. There should be a new episode coming your way on Tuesday.